Abuja, it is time officially for Budeshi, Hausa word meaning open it up. And yes, regular every Friday, and we know that it's something you always look forward to, as it was said in that skit that we played. This morning, we're going to be looking at the role of technology in promoting access to information. And just to remind you that Budeshi is a program of the PPDC, and we've got the entire team here this morning, from the media team to the publicity team, and to one of our guests being the program director. So this morning, two guests to discuss the role of technology in promoting access to information in Nigeria would be Mr. Shino Mokuolu of the Bureau of Public Procurement. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Thank you for being here. Ifeoma Onyebuchi, Program Director, PPDC. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to
Thanks
have
for
you
having
here.
me. Thank
It's
you.
been a while. You've not come in a while. All right, you're welcome. So, public procurement is the major way in which government spendings are made, and this makes it the highest corruption risk any society has to face. The advent of technology like Budeshi, which has served as one-stop hub for sourcing procurement data alongside our Nigerian open contract portal, the Nokopo site, that has been developed by the BPP, have helped to promote access to information in Nigeria. The question is, how many Nigerians actually do go in search of this information to empower themselves, to ask the right questions, to engage the right parties, and to contribute to national discourse from an informed perspective? That question will leave open and allow you to answer for yourself. Have you ever tried to go through any of the portals that have been spoken about since this discussion on open contracting came up? That's left for you to do. But we have two people here this morning who are very, very knowledgeable about these two portals we have spoken about, Budeshi itself and also the Nokopo platform. And both of our guests will be speaking on these fronts. So we begin with Ifeoma with our questioning this morning. Can you give us a brief history of PPDC's work on the Budeshi and its utility so far?
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us once again. So PPDC, as we know, is a citizen sector organization. Our aim is to promote improved and increased citizens' participation in governance, and also in a way that promotes integrity in public procurement and also public sector processes. Our journey to Budeshi began when we started monitoring procurement processes using data we collect over time from public institutions to go and check what we are provided by these agencies to the Nigerian citizens, because we know and we all believe that we have value for all this project because it's for our own good and it's for our own welfare. And in using the data, we started noticing some discrepancies, that sometimes the information you have, even when there are disclosures, doesn't mostly translate to efficiency in services being delivered to the people. So we thought, how do we make this work? How do we have a more efficient procurement process, a system that allows people, not every time we have people requesting for this information, a system that allows public contracting data to be open by default, a system that allows even the government save resources, a system that even the private sector don't complain that there is nepotism, that they are not participating the way they should. So we started advocating for Nigeria to have open contracting. Before that happened, we had to develop a tool to showcase to the Nigerian government that this is what Nigeria as a country can achieve if we can have something like this. So Budeshi was that civic tech tool that we developed, and we used that for advocacy. So the good news is we all saw the utility. Our government say this is what we need in this country, and we have a regulator that is also willing and also committed to carry out this, to make sure that procurement system in Nigeria is efficient. It allows people to participate, and in using technology, they started developing Nokopo, which is the Nigerian Open Contracting Portal. But for us also in PPDC, we continued using the tool to be monitoring public procurement, be training journalists on it. So the journalists that we've trained over time use the data we publish to write data-driven stories. And for us, in the monitoring angle, the portal, like I said, is available for people to interact with and to use. So the remarkable thing that we've seen over time is that people started using this portal, they started using the data we publish, and they started questioning and interrogating the processes, the procurement implementation processes, especially at the rural area. So this rural area, because this portal is available, they started using the data we publish to start marrying what we are provided. And for example, we've over time talked about the Burutu case. Now we don't only have the Burutu case. We have other states in Kaduna, we have states across the geopolitical zones in Nigeria where citizens have said we were able to use this information provided by these tools to investigate what we are provided, and that push helps government to even start questioning the processes. So even that feedback is also very critical for the government to say, okay, these are the feedback we're getting from the people. We don't even need more structures, like in the case of the PACs we've talked about. Maybe we should talk about, equipping those PACs, making sure there are staff in them, making sure that, that it meets the required minimum standard for PACs in Nigeria. And this feedback we are coming from people. So those are the impact we are beginning to see. Interrogation of the processes, improved service delivery in what have been delivered to the people. And we're very happy to have all those.
And of course, where interrogation is improving, definitely things are becoming a lot more open, and that's good to know about the Budeshi platform. Now, what is the role of CSOs in promoting the use and adoption of open contracting in Nigeria? You want to take that? Or maybe we should go to Shino.
As a civil society, maybe I will just
handle that a little
yes,
before he
and
reacts.
Then he can, So, when we started this open contracting discourse in Nigeria, the BPP, who is also a regulator on this field, set up a group. So that group, we call it the Procurement Monitoring Working Group. Now, that group is a coalition of over 36 civil societies working in the area of transparency and accountability. Now, we are helping the government to monitor, making sure that even the pilot MDs, that they are publishing information when they are supposed to publish. And that information doesn't just sit there because it's meant for people to use. And now there are different stages of people across different states. There are people who are techie, who can access this data, make use of them. And there are people who are mostly the beneficiaries of this project that don't even have access to information. So that's where the media, not just the civil society, the media and even the private sector. So, but for us as civil societies, we started interpreting this information in a way that is relatable to people who don't have access. We have digitally excluded communities, people with low technology, and those people need to be participate, right? So we need a participatory governance. So how do we make sure that this information doesn't sit there, but those people also participate in the entire process? We started breaking down this information, taking it down to them, giving it out to their district heads, to their principals of all these public schools, and also primary healthcare center heads. And also the ordinary citizens, we break it down in their local language using infographics and all those comic versions to make sure that they understand those data. And in that way, they also participate in the entire process.
All right, so Mr. Shino Mokolu, let's bring you in on this conversation. Can you tell us the role of technology in promoting access to information in Nigeria, highlighting the Nigerian Open Contracting portal, right? That's what it's called, NOCOPO.
NOCOPO, yes. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here once again. I would like to say that technology has done so much for us, and it has is disrupting a lot of industries, even in this age. And the same thing is also doing good for governance. And as the regulator, the Bureau of Public Procurement, one of our responsibilities also to make sure that people have access to information, especially in the area of public procurement. And this we've been doing using technology over the time, and we've learned from previous practices to improving to what we have now, which is NOCOPO. It's something to have information, and it's also another thing for that information to be available in a meaningful manner and in a manner that the relevant stakeholders can actually make use of it. And that's what the NOCOPO has come to offer. It publishes procurement information from planning stage to tender stage, award, contract, and implementation stage. And it allows anyone, citizen, stakeholder, whether you're in the private sector, whether you are a citizen, whether you are a civil society organization, media, academia, journalist, just anyone, they can access this information on the NOCOPO portal. They can not just access the information, we've also ensured that there are feedback feature mechanism inbuilt on this platform. This is to ensure that we also are able to get feedback on all this information. As we often say that democracy, is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. Now it's time for people to get engaged, to get active, to play their part. So because the government, in its way and in fulfilling one of its cardinal, mandate of fighting corruption, has put in place this NOCOPO to disclose procurement information, because one of the very, very good means of fighting corruption is just to make it open. Just disclose the information. So this NOCOPO, you understand, disclose this information. So we really encourage our citizens to understand that information is out there. So they need to engage. You are there wherever you are, in every nook and cranny of the country. Engage with this information. You have a feedback mechanism for you to send your feedback, because you can see the information you have there. You can compare with what you have on ground. Then you have that means of sending information. And once you send that feedback on the platform, we get that information at the Bureau of Public Procurement, and we swing it into action as the oversight body regulating public procurement in Nigeria, to correct any anomaly that is seen, because it's all about making it good. It's all about delivering good to citizens.
Now, at what point did we realize that we required these new media solutions that we could use, to track, to open things up, like you have said, to give access for feedback from the target, and then also open things up so that people can see what projects, what contracts are being appropriated for, and all of that? At what point did we realize that this was necessary? Was it just a light bulb moment? Somebody just had an idea and then we started doing this, or there was a process? And if there was a process, is that process over? Can people have access to this information right now?
Okay, I would like to just take us back to the memory lane. So many of us will remember that comment that says Nigeria is fantastically corrupt.
Yes.
And we are glad today, because the same people that are saying Nigeria is fantastically ambitious to fight corruption, and this has also gone to to giving us even the Bureau of Public Procurement winning a global award, Global Innovation Award in open contracting. It was after the London Anti-Corruption Summit where that statement was made, that the president actually made a commitment to ensuring that there will be reform in the public sector, and he committed to adopting open contracting data standard. And thereafter, this commitment was taken to the platform that is called Open Government Partnership. So this Open Government Partnership gave us opportunity to work with the civil society organizations. What this does for us, it allowed us to hear what they want, what the citizens want. It made us to see what and to have, to sit together and design and actually come up with a reform or an initiative, that can serve, the people. So it was at this co-creation process that happened on the platform of OGP, which is still ongoing presently. It's still ongoing, that gave birth to this NOCOPO platform. So it's all about listening to citizens, what the citizens want via the information provided by civil society organization, and delivering to citizens what they want, that actually give back to this NOCOPO platform.
Okay, so now definitely all over the world with the new media platforms that have been created in other parts of the world and all of that, and even here in Nigeria, we know that there are definitely challenges. What are the biggest challenges you face right now in using technology to promote access to information in Nigeria. You mentioned one in passing earlier, talking about access to the internet for people at the grassroots level. Of course, they are the targets for most of these projects and all of that. But what other challenges exist?
For us, and working in this area and also trying to get people involved, it's always been access to technology. And even when there are access to technology, we notice that there is this perceived apathy from people. And we think maybe probably it's because they don't even understand what we're talking about, because we are working with people who are still battling with basic needs of men in this part of the world. But we need to start making sure that these initiatives don't only exist at the federal level, but also taking it down to the state level. Take, for instance, Kaduna State. Kaduna became the first state to sign up to the OGP, right? And they are also piloting open contracting now. Now you're seeing that change. It's beginning to shape discussions around governance in that state. So we're also talking about the same people that exist all over the country, right? But because they've had access to this sort of reforms and platforms, it's beginning to shape how they talk and the conversations around public contracting. Now we are no longer talking about technology because it's existing there, but how do we start engaging the people? How do we start talking to the people to understand the usefulness of this? So that apathy issue and also technology, and that's why for us we don't just concentrate at the federal level, because now we have Nakupa at the federal level, but how to start scaling to other parts of the country, because not everybody have that access to the federal level, right? But let state government also adopt, because when they adopt and implement for the state, not just everybody concentrated on federal project, but on the state. So they need to have access. That access is the main thing. Then when there is access, civil societies, local civil societies within those states can now start translating those information published to the way people understand, probably using their local languages, because that's also what we are doing, what we are looking at doing in Kaduna State.
Are the local CSOs that active?
Yes, they are active. Like Isaac mentioned, Nigeria signed up to the OGP, and a lot of states are signing. So within the auspices of OGP, civil societies are participating, and they're also helping to give that push we want to their state government. But the state, of course, is left for the state to adopt, because it's not CSOs that will adopt and implement. When the state adopts and implement, then you see them in full action.
How are we doing with advocacy to make sure that the states adopt? Because there has to be a push. We know that they will not just make it open. People are enjoying the corruption. So what do we do? What's going on with that? Is there any push for the advocacy?
Yes, there are. Lots of civil societies are also clamoring for their government to sign up, and a lot of them, they participate in this federal level conversations around OGP. And that's why we started seeing that result. For example, we have states like Anambra State, Kano State, Kaduna State, of course, and Abia State, Imo State, Enugu State. They've all signed up to the OGP, and those push came from the local civil societies within them. So we've had that peer learning platform, experience sharing platform. So they're seeing the impact we here at the federal level are seeing, and of course they want their own states to be better. They want their government to be participatory. They want good governance. Everybody wants this. So that push is also coming from them. And of course, we will see more impact as
we have a government agency represented here in
just
Shino.
just to chip in on that challenge.
Yes.
We on the part of government using technology, we actually see challenges as opportunity, and that's the way to go. And when we look at challenges from our own side, we look at the whole spectrum of the open data itself, from the producer's standpoint and from the user's standpoint, and this is what informs the innovation that we bring to bear in this initiative. Now, from the producer standpoint, what are the challenges to using technology, to get information? Then you start talking about the capacity of the data producers, the procurement officers in government agencies. So you start talking about how do we train them? How do we get them to know how to use this technology properly? How to be responsive, to their responsibility to providing information and so on and so forth. How do we make internet? How do we give them working tools in their various places of work? Do you understand? Then when we now go to the users, like what Informa has mentioned, then you now start talking about how do citizens actually engage or use this technology. Then it begins to bring to fore the opportunities that lies in those challenges. So what can CSO do? She has mentioned they can actually help those people that have less internet penetration to actually rip up the information from the technology, take it, use other means, to present to the people. Then it also brings to fore that the opportunity that lies in the private sector. Then private sector should begin to see these challenges as ways of bringing out innovations, that can bring good, because innovation does not necessarily have to be about profit. It also has to be about good to the people, good to the nation. So we are challenging the private sector, which we have not had so much of them in this engagement on OGP. Let them come up to the table. Let them bring innovation that reside in the private sector to help solve some of these challenges, so that we can begin to reap good, benefit from using technology. Then the last part, we have community town hall meetings and stuff like that. These are areas where people can actually pull resources together to ensuring that they overcome challenge of technology. Imagine if a community can come together and say, okay, maybe once in a month we want to pull resources together. Maybe we want to subscribe to small data, and this small data we want to subscribe to, we will just download all information about our project from this portal for maybe in 5 minutes. Do you understand? And in 5 minutes, whatever resources they put together to buy internet for that 5 minutes, they have downloaded the information. Now they will have the information, on their palm, and they'll be able to take further action, at engaging. So to us, challenges are good, and there are areas of opportunity. So we really see that we should begin to see some of these challenges as a way to help us to improve on this initiative.
I mean, we've had a lot of opportunities to actually improve on our governance structure and all of that, open governance and all of that. What would you say as we begin to round up? I mean, we have 2 minutes to go. What would you say concerning the issue of the government's will to carry on with this process? We have seen a lot of such processes, maybe not as elaborate as this before, but what's your statement to the government's will to carry on with this?
Yeah, I would like to say that the will is 100%, and if you have anything more than 100%, we have that 100%. Like we said, it was a statement made in London in 2016, and from 2016, the statement didn't just stay a statement, it has translated into action, and it has translated into what we are now talking about now, what we can see. And it's not just about talking. If everybody can log on to nocopo.bpp.gov.ng, you will see this Nocopo portal live. It's live now. There are data there, there are information, MDAs are engaging. nocopo.bpp.gov.ng. So it's not just all about talking. So seeing this action tells you that this government is serious about it. So the will is 100%. We have the support, but like we all know, it's usually work in progress.
Okay. All right, let's see if we can squeeze in 2 calls before we let our guests out of the studio this morning. On 0946000951 or 08095974869 or 0803-123-0293. It's Budeshi and the PPDC are the proponents of this particular program. PPDC would be Public and Private Development Center, and they're here regularly every Friday from 8:05 till about this time, where we x-ray some of these big issues around transparency and good governance in our nation. While we wait, okay, we have that one. Let's take this one. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
Mr. calling from Malaba.
All right, Mainasara, quickly.
Yeah, the Budeshi initiative is a welcome development. I think that's a very, very welcome development. I think for the people that are too skeptical in this country about the anti-corruption policy of the government, I think it's a two-way thing. The public should, who are the people on ground, should be able to engage this instrument so that the anti-corruption fight will be successful. So in a situation whereby you put down in your, whatever, the comfort of your home and the cabinet government without, you have to stakeholders. So it's a two-way that the public does reach the fight for it to be successful.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nasser are calling on everyone to engage, not sit in their comfort zone and allow other people to just carry on with the fight. Like Ifeoma said, the media has a role, CSOs have their roles, but all of these roles cannot be as elaborate as if the citizen, takes it up himself to ask the relevant questions that should be asked. Last call, and then we'll take your final comments. Hello? Hello? Okay, we take it that you agree with everything that has been said here this morning, and that's your interpretation of it. All right, so we'll take a final statement from you, Mr. Shino.
Okay, my final word and the reason why we have come here is to say that the federal government, through the Bureau of Public Procurement, has given us a tool, Nokopo. Log on to nokopo.bpp.gov.ng. I take that again, nokopo.bpp.gov.ng. Then you have access to all procurement information. Then you can engage and do work.
Okay, Ifeoma?
And my final words will be, for us citizens, over time we've said, government do this. Now government has done this. We need to start seeing the link between access to information and efficiency in services being delivered to us. Until we see that link, until we see the usefulness of data, then nothing is going to move. We will continue to be stagnant. So now we have a portal, not a historic portal, but a portal that publishes live contracting information for us, and it's available for us to use. We need to engage that platform. We need to give feedback, as Mr. Isaac said. We need to tell government, this is what works for us, and this is what doesn't work. This is what we need in our community as against what was provided for us. Those feedback are very critical in shaping government decisions and policies around services that have been delivered to us. So we must engage, we must interrogate, we must participate, and we must give feedback to the government, because collectively we will push for a better Nigeria and see that better Nigeria we all pray for.
All right, so that's it on Budeshi this morning, powered by the Public and Private Development Center. Thank you so much to my guests, Mr. Shino. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
And Ifeoma, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you soon again. All right, we have another set of guests joining us for the next 30 minutes. I'll be right back after this short break. Don't go away.